The Shepherd Boy and the Giant. The morning sun cast long shadows across the valley of Elah as two armies faced each other from opposite hillsides. For 40 days, the Israelite soldiers had assembled in their battle formations, and for 40 days they had retreated to their tents in fear. The reason for their terror stood 9 feet tall in the valley below. Goliath of Gath was a monument to warfare. His bronze helmet gleamed in the sunlight, and his coat of scale armor, weighing over 100 pounds, clinked with each movement. The shaft of his spear was as thick as a weaver's rod, and its iron point alone weighed 15 pounds. Behind him stood his shield-bearer, struggling under the weight of a shield nearly as tall as an ordinary man. "Choose a man to fight me," Goliath's voice boomed across the valley for the 80th time, echoing off the limestone hills. "If he defeats me, we Philistines will be your servants. But if I defeat him, you will serve us." His laughter was like thunder. "Come now, isn't there anyone among you with courage?" King Saul, standing among his commanders, felt his stomach twist with shame and fear. He was the tallest man in Israel, head and shoulders above everyone else, yet even he seemed like a child compared to the giant below. He had offered his armor, his wealth, even his daughter's hand in marriage to anyone who would face Goliath, but his warriors only stared at their feet. Miles away, in the hill country of Bethlehem, a young man named David was preparing for a journey. At 17, he was still considered too young for military service, though his 3 oldest brothers, Eliab, Abinadab, and Shammah, had joined Saul's army weeks ago. David's responsibilities kept him at home, tending his father's sheep, protecting them from lions and bears, and ensuring they had sufficient pasture. "David," his father Jesse called from the doorway of their stone house. The old man's beard was white as wool, and he leaned heavily on his staff. "I need you to take provisions to your brothers. Take this ephah of roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread, and bring these 10 cheeses to the commander of their unit. See how your brothers are faring, and bring back word." David's heart leaped. For weeks he had heard rumors about the standoff at Elah, about the Philistine champion who mocked Israel twice daily. Now he would see it for himself. He arose before dawn the next morning, leaving the flock with another shepherd. The journey took him through rocky valleys and across streams swollen with spring rain. As he walked, he sang psalms he had composed while watching sheep under starlit skies, songs about God's faithfulness, His strength, His protection. The Israelite camp sprawled across the hillside like a city of tents. David could hear the camp stirring as he approached, the clang of bronze, the whinnying of horses, the voices of thousands of men. He found the supply area and left his father's provisions with the keeper, then hurried toward the battle line, eager to find his brothers. The Israelite army was assembling in formation, shields locked, spears ready. David pushed through the ranks, searching for familiar faces. Then he heard it, a voice that made the very air seem to tremble. "Men of Israel, how long will you cower like rabbits? Send me your champion." David emerged at the front line and saw Goliath for the first time. The giant stood in the valley, sunlight gleaming off his bronze armor, his shield-bearer beside him. David had faced many threats while protecting his sheep, but he had never seen anything like this. Yet as he stared at the Philistine champion, David felt something unexpected, not fear, but anger. This uncircumcised foreigner is defying the armies of the living God? How could Israel's soldiers, men who serve the Creator of heaven and earth, retreat before one man, no matter his size? "Who is this Philistine anyway?" David asked the soldiers around him. "Who does he think he is, defying the armies of the living God?" The soldiers shifted uncomfortably. One of them, his face streaked with dust and sweat, replied, "Have you seen this man who keeps coming out? He comes to defy Israel." The king will give great wealth to whoever kills him, and will give him his daughter in marriage and exempt his family from taxes." David's oldest brother Eliab had spotted him in the crowd. He pushed through the ranks, his face flushed with anger. "Why have you come down here?" he demanded. "Who did you leave those few sheep with in the wilderness? I know your pride and the wickedness of your heart. You came down just to watch the battle." The accusation stung, but David kept his voice level. "What have I done now? Can't I even ask a question?" He turned away from Eliab and continued questioning the soldiers, his indignation growing with each conversation. Word of the young man asking strange questions reached the king's tent. Soon David found himself standing before King Saul himself. Saul was an imposing figure, even seated, broad-shouldered, with a thick black beard and eyes that had seen too many battles. But those eyes looked tired now, haunted. "What is it you wanted to say?" Saul asked. David bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, no one should lose heart because of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him." A stunned silence fell over the tent. Saul's commanders exchanged glances. Finally, Saul spoke, his voice gentle, almost pitying. "You can't fight this Philistine. You're only a boy, and he's been a warrior since his youth." David stepped forward, his eyes bright with conviction. "Your Majesty, I have been keeping my father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a lamb from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the lamb from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both lion and bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God." The tent was utterly silent. David's voice rang with absolute certainty as he continued, "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." Saul stared at the young man before him. In David's eyes, he saw something he hadn't seen in his own mirror for years. Faith without doubt, courage without hesitation. Finally, the king nodded slowly. "Go," Saul said, "and may the Lord be with you." Saul ordered his servants to dress David in the king's own armor. They brought out the bronze helmet and placed it on David's head. They buckled the coat of armor around his torso and fastened a sword over the armor. David took a few experimental steps and nearly fell over. The armor was magnificent, fit for a king, and completely wrong for him. "I can't walk in this," he said, struggling with the buckles. "I'm not used to it." He removed the armor piece by piece, feeling lighter with each item he set aside. Instead, he picked up his shepherd's staff, worn smooth from years of use. He walked to a nearby brook, and the water ran clear and cold over smooth stones. David carefully selected 5 stones, each one perfectly round, each one fitting comfortably in his palm. He placed them in his shepherd's bag. Then he picked up his sling, 2 cords of leather connected to a small leather pouch. It was a weapon he knew intimately, one he had used countless times to drive off predators and guide his flock. In his hands, it was as precise as any archer's bow. As David walked toward the valley, the Israelite army parted before him. Thousands of eyes watched the shepherd boy descend toward the giant. Some soldiers looked away, unable to watch what they assumed would be a slaughter. Others prayed desperately. A few wept. Goliath had been pacing impatiently, his shield-bearer struggling to keep up. When he saw someone finally approaching, the giant turned and then stopped, his expression shifting from anticipation to disbelief to rage. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" He gestured at his gods with his free hand. "Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." David stopped at the edge of the brook, close enough now to see the contempt in Goliath's eyes, to hear the labored breathing of the shield-bearer, to smell the bronze and leather of the Philistine's armor. When David spoke, his voice carried across the valley, clear and strong, reaching both armies. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." Goliath took a step forward, sneering. David's voice rose higher, filled with prophetic certainty. "This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." As Goliath moved forward to attack, David ran quickly toward the battle line. His hand reached into his bag and closed around one of the smooth stones. In a motion perfected through years of practice, he placed it in his sling and began to whirl it above his head. The stone flew through the air, invisible with speed. It struck Goliath in the forehead with the sound like an axe hitting wood. The giant's eyes went wide with shock. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, he stood motionless, his weapon still in his hands. Then, like a great tree felled by a lumberjack, Goliath toppled forward and fell face down on the ground. The valley erupted in chaos. David ran forward and stood over the fallen giant. Goliath's own sword was massive, but David drew it from its sheath and with both hands brought it down. The head of the champion of Gath rolled across the ground. A roar went up from the Israelite army that shook the very stones of the valley. They surged forward as the Philistines, their champion dead, broke ranks and fled in terror. The Israelites pursued them all the way to the gates of Gath and Ekron, and the road was littered with the dead. That evening, as David stood in Saul's tent once more, the king's eyes held a new emotion, wariness mixed with respect. "Whose son are you, young man?" Saul asked. "I am the son of your servant Jesse of Bethlehem," David replied. But both men knew that something had changed in Israel that day. A shepherd boy had become a warrior, a giant had fallen, and the course of a nation's history had shifted in the time it took a stone to fly. In the years that followed, people would tell the story countless ways. The shepherd who became king, the boy who trusted God, the young man who faced impossible odds. But the truth was simpler and more profound. In the valley of Elah, faith proved mightier than bronze, and courage stronger than size. And a smooth stone, guided by steady hands and an unshakable heart, had changed the world.